for the domestic practice, if someone's considering a divorce. No, I would say the opposite. I want them to take their time. I'm a divorce lawyer that would rather know business. I'm a family man, and I want people to stay married, And so I often tell people, even who come in for a consult, just to get the information, that there's no fires. Let's not start any. Go home, sleep about it, sleep on it, pray about it. Talk to your spouse. Try to work it out, man. In fact, hire a marriage counselor instead of a divorce lawyer, right? So stalling that is often okay.
Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Davey Jones is the managing partner of Jones Law Partners, a firm in Alexandria, Louisiana, where he practices alongside two equal partners covering domestic law, criminal defense, and immigration. Davey's own practice focuses on divorce and custody, personal injury, and succession work. What struck me most about this conversation is how clearly Davey's values show up in every part of how he runs the business. He's a divorce lawyer who tells prospective clients to go home, sleep on it, and try a marriage counselor first. He's a managing partner who set up an in-office daycare when 3 paralegals were pregnant at the same time. And he's an early tech adopter who went paperless over a decade ago, recently started using Claude to build internal tools, and is now thinking seriously about how AI changes everything from legal research to how clients find their lawyer in the first place. We talk about the shift from SEO to AI search, why the human elements of family law and personal injury may be the last things AI can touch, and how a small firm in central Louisiana is planning to scale with a partner track model that most people associate with big corporate practices. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO, and today I'm joined by Davey Jones of Jones Law Group. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Stephen. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes. So please give us an overview from a high level of what you do at the firm.
Sure. So I call myself the managing partner here, and there are 3 of us, equal partners. We've got one associate now who's been with us just over a year. And then, of course, my practice as well. So our partnership's pretty interesting because we kind of feed off of each other with different practice areas. I focus on domestic law, divorce and custody, personal injury, and succession work. And Adam Huddleston, our one partner, focuses on criminal defense, but also some dabbling of other civil litigation practices, domestic law, and other work as well. And then Carolyn Hines, our partner, focuses on immigration work, which is a hot topic nowadays for sure. And then she does some other civil litigation as well.
Yeah, pretty diverse. Was that the plan all along, or did that just sort of emerge organically?
No, it kind of fell into place. I had been solo. Actually, all 3 of us had been solo for a while. I was solo, 15 years or so, a little shy of that. And I take credit for recruiting the other 2 and had known Adam and Carolyn just through the practice. And I thought our practices would complement each other and feed off of each other. So I kind of brought us all to the table and had conversations about what a partnership might look like. And we just kind of rolled into it. That was about 4 years ago. So yeah, definitely not an intentional merging of practice areas, but it just seemed like it would be a good fit, and it has been.
Right. So since I'm talking to you, I'll have you speak a little bit to your specific practice areas. I often like to ask, what do you think that your clientele maybe underestimates or doesn't understand about the work that you do, and advice that you give them, if they haven't yet engaged you? Okay.
All right. So for potential clients, it's important to set realistic expectations at the outset. And so a potential client may not understand how long a case is going to take. That's always a difficult conversation because they take forever. The wheels of justice grind slowly, and people expect justice quickly. And most understand that, I think, once you explain it. But that's probably a good key to open the relationship with. And then as that develops, I think it's important to make sure clients understand that the reason for those delays, which is just communicating with clients, right? All the behind the scenes work that lawyers are doing that clients may not be privy to. they certainly don't need a full legal education on what's happening, but some explanation, I think, calms their nerves. So yeah, right. So clients are kind of wondering what's happening, calling for a status update often, and usually that's just, look, I've done this, I've done that, we're waiting for this or that, and so just communicating those things, I think, is helpful.
Do you find sometimes that clients might put off hiring an attorney a little bit too long, and maybe in retrospect they wish that they'd contacted you sooner?
Yeah, sometimes. Personal injury, that's probably an important part of or an important problem to avoid. Spoliation of evidence starts to develop, witness memories start to fade. So those things are important to catch earlier than later. For the domestic practice, if someone's considering a divorce, no, I would say the opposite. I want them to take their time. I'm a divorce lawyer that would rather no business. I'm a family man, and I want people to stay married, and yes. So I often tell people, even who come in for a consult just to get the information, that there's no fires. Let's not start any. Go home, sleep about it, sleep on it, pray about it, talk to your spouse, try to work it out, man. In fact, hire a marriage counselor instead of a divorce lawyer, right? So stalling that is often okay.
Yeah, that's a refreshing perspective, because I was talking to another divorce attorney, and she was kind of saying something very similar. She's like, I can be assertive and even aggressive if I absolutely need to, right, but I try to, be much more operating under the perspective that, you guys are going to be sharing custody for all these years and still have to have some sort of relationship. So why do we want to go DEFCON 5, and make it as adversarial as possible? But she said some of my colleagues, they just go in guns blazing right from the get-go, and it's unfortunate. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. And along that same line, one of my focuses, and we have a really good bar in Central Louisiana that cares about this too, which helps because we're not always battling each other. That carries over to cases. But the focus is on the kids and what I call trying to break cycles, right? I don't want the kids in my divorce cases to repeat their parents' mistakes. And lawyers can get in the way of that, right? If we fuel fires in the courtroom, that causes stress in the relationship. Even though they are divorcing, they still have ongoing relationships. That feeds the children, right? And so if lawyers can help keep peace, then hopefully kids can grow up in stable environments, even though divorcing, and not call me later. The worst kinds of clients are the kids of my prior clients,
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. I'll move over into our central theme for the podcast, which is talking about the intersection of law and technology. What are you seeing as trends right now regarding AI in particular? And so we can have this conversation starting anywhere. It could either be sort of global in terms of the whole legal domain, or it could be how you're engaging with it personally. So
yeah, that's good way to categorize it. Personally, I think two angles. The first is using it for client intake or advertising, right? Mm-hmm. And the second would be the actual practice. How do you implement it in the law practice? I'm kind of fresh on the scene of using AI for marketing. We've been pushing Google and SEO for decade plus now, and it's been very productive. But that whole landscape is changing, I think. Yeah. So that's something important that lawyers should be aware of, who want to use the internet as their source of networking and referrals. So being in the meat of AI searches. When someone says divorce lawyer, Alexandria, Louisiana, and Claude or ChatGPT, hopefully my name pops up. And right. So
which is different than SEO. It is changing. Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah. So I'm going to defer to the experts on that. I don't think that's something a lawyer should try to take on and self-manage. It's probably above our pay grades. On the other side, though, integrating it into the practice is definitely within our pay grade and something a savvy lawyer, I think, needs to be aware of and familiar with, because there are pitfalls. We've done some CLEs recently, and there are some horror stories of discipline in Louisiana. One in particular that's just kind of become famous or infamous. A an attorney used ChatGPT to write a brief. And I think, as everyone's becoming aware, ChatGPT hallucinates and made up case law, right? And the lawyer didn't double check, and she quoted this case law and put it in a brief and then argued it, which is a no and would have been a slap on the wrist, but she doubled down. So the other lawyer caught it, emailed her and said, "Hey, I can't find this case. Point it out to me." Kind of conversation. And instead of doing that, the lawyer used ChatGPT again, which hallucinated for a different case that she cited and doubled down on her argument, even to the court. So the court caught it, and it's kind of like, if you would have owned your mistake and been humble and apologetic, we would have moved past it, but you didn't. You doubled down and came to the court and argued it anyway as if it were a real thing. And it's just, that's a pretty extreme example of using the AI tool. But the lesson for the rest of us is, just double check, right? When you get a case, go read it. You can't trust AI to do work product, and that's the big takeaway. So when we're using AI, it's a tool and a resource that we can absolutely use, but it can't be an end product. The lawyer is the end product, and our work product has to be perfect.
This it was another case, but it was very similar. Where there was a ruling around this. I believe it's from New York, pretty well cited case. And I think one of our first episodes, we were talking about the implications of that. And, it basically distilled all down to something I've repeated multiple times now, which is attorneys still have to attorney, lawyers still got a lawyer, and that's it. But again, part of it's just due to ignorance, where people are thinking that they can just go to a public LLM and just trust the results, and they're not even really aware of the hallucinations. These things are designed to please the end user. And so if you don't have the proper parameters or the proper training of the model, you run into some serious problems. So unfortunately, it's probably going to take some of these for people to realize that they can't take those shortcuts, some of these extreme cases. Wake them up. What would you say that you're most excited about in terms of the potential for the technology, where things are heading?
So I've played with ChatGPT a good bit, and the hallucinations scared me, and kind of I left that app, and we've been playing with Claude now here recently, and it seems to be much better. So here's a good example. I used Claude to build an app so that we could track employee timesheets. It was a clock in, clock out app, and it just made an HTML that I put on an iPad on the wall, and it's been brilliant. So that's just a cost saver and a time saver that was magical. I've used it to do some research on a case that was kind of outside of my wheelhouse, and it absolutely pointed me in the right direction. So just the time saver, man. The time saver using AI is just going to be amazing. The research that I would have done would have been 12 hours, and it cut it down to 45 minutes. So just absolutely game changer for time management.
Great. Are your partners using it too, or is it mostly just something you're playing around with?
They are. Yeah. No, we decided on Claude probably 3 months ago to get the paid version for all three of us and our associate, all four of us, just to play with it, see how it goes, come back together, and decide if that's something that we want to keep long term.
Gotcha. Excellent. Do you have any sense of, and this is purely hypothetical because I know there's no way to know, but do you have any sense of, if you were to fast forward, say 5 years from now, what things you think are going to be the same versus what are just going to be completely different, like maybe areas of law that even disappear or radically change?
I can envision a future taking over some lawyer work. We're talking about utopia fiction, but it's possible. Transactional stuff would kind of make me think it's possible to be taken over. Closings and abstracts, contract writing, those things can probably be AI driven. But the more human elements, I have a much harder time seeing that being replaced. Custody decisions, I can't imagine any parent trusting an AI in the foreseeable future with the schedule for their kids. It's just such a huge.
Yeah. I love AI, but I would not.
right? They don't even trust judges to do it. So why do we want to trust AI?
Right.
Personal injury, probably same. I mean, there are a lot of transactional elements. Quantum can be pretty mechanical. But when you're talking to a client about how much money should I get to compensate me for my pain and suffering, that's such a human element. Um, I imagine the insurance companies would want that to be taken over by AI. I
Mhm.
just can't imagine my clients being okay with that. And maybe 5 years. Who knows, man? That the progression of technology recently, 5 years is not that far away, but a lot can happen. 20 years, 50 years, who knows? Science can look magical at that point.
Right. Right. It can absolutely pass as magic. Um, on the PI side, interesting thing came up with another conversation I was having with a personal injury attorney. And it was actually a flip side to another conversation with a lawyer who's in another specialty area. That one was saying, I like for her particular discipline, she was like, I like that I now have clients that are coming to me more informed because it's making it easier because they've already done some research using these LLMs before coming to me. And that was a positive for her. But on the PI side, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, maybe you've encountered this or you haven't, but the personal injury attorney was saying, he's run into a couple issues where his clients are basically putting in like, this is what happened. But of course, it's kind of with missing some key details. It's their subjective account. And so they're getting these basic like case valuations of like, you should be getting this much in this range, which is not realistic. He was saying once you factor in all the particulars of the case. So they're coming to him and saying, why are you promising or trying to go for a less substantial result than what ChatGPT is telling me? And he's like, because you don't know what you're actually, you're giving it a very, very limited input, right? So your output is not realistic. I don't know if you'd encountered that at all, but I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in AI. In AI, I haven't seen that in PI. No clients have called me and said you're lowballing me. ChatGPT says I deserve more, but I can totally see that coming down the pipes. I think I fall back to it's a communication issue. If a client comes to me and says ChatGPT says I deserve this, I'm like, well, would you ask ChatGPT? Let's talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it. Let's work through it. It's like, oh, you didn't tell them that there's a liability issue, right?
Yeah.
You didn't tell ChatGPT that you had this back injury before the accident. So there's causation problems, right? So then you just kind of explain to the client what that means and how it affects the bottom line. Hopefully they can understand and accept that. I'm willing to bet you plug that into ChatGPT that there are causation issues. I bet that number goes down in the results of ChatGPT. So you might could sit with a client and do it on my phone with with a new formula and a new outcome.
Right. This is getting me thinking about as I was sharing with him, like potentially putting in a proactive something on around intake where you were kind of proactively addressing that if it becomes a recurring thing, which you could easily see those becoming recurring things. Shifting into your practice a little bit deeper, I always like to give you the opportunity to talk about what you think that you do with your firm extraordinarily well that sets you apart from others that might be in your same practice areas.
On the domestic side, which is where I've built my reputation, I'm a family man and I care about the kids in my case. And I tell my clients that I represent them. If it's mom, I represent you, mom, and I'm fighting for your interests, but I care more about your children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that air quotes sells, but it's true too. And as referrals come in, as clients recommend me to their friends, I think that's probably the most important part of it. Mm-hmm. Is that Davey's a family man. I pray with clients sometimes, and I think that matters. And I think that them telling their friends that they don't have to tell them I'm a good lawyer or I kick ass in the courtroom. They can tell me that I care and that I want to help their family. And I think that builds trust and it builds future clients. And I'm not unique in that. I think a lot of lawyers care the same way. So you do have to do more than just care, right? You also have to be a good lawyer. and I've really leveraged technology from the beginning. I left Windows and went to Mac probably 15 years ago. We integrated Dropbox, so everything's paperless, which is, and I was on the front end of that, so I kind of blew my own horn back then, but just about everybody's caught up with that. But it allowed me to be more organized than most. So when I'm in the courtroom, my paperwork's organized, my thoughts are organized, my arguments are organized, which lets me produce better results. And so I think being on the cutting edge of that technology while it was developing let me build my reputation that I'm now riding the wave of.
Excellent. Yeah. And now the sky's the limit for the tech with what we have right now. So staying on the cutting edge is important. In terms of growth, what would you say? What stage would you say that the firm is in right now, and where are you looking to get to in the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, good question. That's a cool thought experiment that we've talked about a lot because we're young. We're 4 years into the partnership. We've had some employee turnover here recently, which I hate. I hate employee turnover. It's because of the same reason that I think that I excel in my domestic practice. I try to create a family atmosphere here, right? We have a new employee come in, we do a little training thing, some ground rules, and then tell them the most important part, that this family that we're building here is secondary to your family. When my children have events, I'm going to be there, and work can wait, and I expect the same from you. So when my people, I'll give you our most extreme example. We had 3 girls, 3 paralegals who were pregnant at the same time. And so we're all worried about maternity leave and what we're going to do while they're gone. Right. And we pay them market, but they're paying their bills and have to make ends meet. And they're all worried about daycare costs. And so Carolyn, one of our partners, brought to the other 2 partners that we should help them with that. And we've got some extra space in our second building behind us. And she said she wanted to put a daycare in one of our office spaces. And I loved it. I loved that idea. We jumped right on it. We bought cribs. We put a little TV back there, monitors, all the stuff for the 3 girls that were having babies coming. I just thought it was a really cool perk to offer our employees. And it's right. And it's proof that we care, right? And that we want what's best for them. And we want them here. We need them here, right? So your baby can be right across the way and you can be here working. And so that's just an example of what we're trying to build here. So that's now. Long term, I hope that breeds loyalty and family unit here for the law firm that can scale. I'm a growth guy. I'm a dreamer, and I've got big plans for where we can take this ship. Most particularly, we've outgrown this office space that we're currently in, so we're looking at buying new space. Something's developing downtown that will hopefully pan out, that we can buy, gut it, renovate it, turn it into our own with kind of double the footprint, which will be amazing. So that's hopefully going to happen in 2026, though we're halfway through. We'll see. That may be one of those delayed goals, but we'll see. We've got our young associate. We've got a guy working for us who's taking the bar in July, so hopefully he'll be our next associate with a very specific partner tract. Right. So the idea is scaled, and it's not new for partnerships, but the idea is that we can kind of wean out and the new crop can come in and take over partners and then rinse and repeat, same cycle of other big firms have done. But ours is different because I don't know of any domestic or personal injury practice, certainly immigration, that has that scale potential. The big corporate firms are doing big corporate work, which is foreign to me, but requires growth and scale. One of the big firms in Alexandria, one of the partners represents the sheriff's department, right? So that's a big operation that requires several associates and various paralegals. So that's not what we are. We're street lawyers, like Jake Brigance from the novels, and finding a way to scale that, I think, is unique, different, but definitely exciting.
Absolutely. And you've had a pretty amazing journey so far, 4 years. If you could wave a hypothetical magic wand and fix one thing that's maybe a challenge, a limitation, anything that's maybe holding you back from your growth objective, aside from that building, what would that be?
Oh man, I don't know. It's going so well. Um, we've had hiccups here and there. We just call them growing pains.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, we're so blessed. Nothing's jumping out at me.
good. That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
that is.
Excellent. Where I always like to complete the arc of these conversations, Davey, is we talk about growth and we talk about tech and all that. But what would you say is your personal why for what you do? Aside from successful firm making money, what would you say the personal why is?
Um, two parts to that. My family, again, man, you could define my life by the word blessed. My family's amazing. We've got all kinds of different areas of careers covered. My dad's a dentist. Got an uncle that's an insurance agent. Uncle's a jeweler. My sister's a nurse. So anyway, all kinds of areas of work covered, but no one in my family has ever been a lawyer. So that's why I decided to be a lawyer. In my 20s, I thought that it might be a way that I could give back to my family. Thankfully, they haven't needed me much, which is good. That was why I got into it. In hindsight, I should have followed my dad and been a dentist. Just have it made.
Yeah.
So that's
Grass is always greener though, because
for sure.
after a while they get sick of staring in people's mouths. So it's
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Funny little anecdote. My brother is a dentist. Actually, he followed my little brother, and so I call him the smart one. He followed my dad's footsteps and took over dad's practice. We were goofing off one day. My little brother said, the worst thing about being a dentist is I got to listen to everybody complaining. I looked at him funny and I said, wait a minute. No, number one, that's what I do, not you. Number two, you've got your hands in their mouth. So how much can they be complaining?
right. Very true.
That was good. Yeah, but so why I keep doing it, man, is for the family law is trying to break the cycles. Like we talked about, I don't want kids repeating their mistakes, and so I get financial satisfaction by the work and the product, but I get emotional satisfaction by thinking and hoping that I'm having an effect on the next generation of married couples.
Yeah. Very well said. Fantastic. And how can people best reach you if they want to find out more about your services, get a consultation, etc.?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. We have a consult system, so phone numbers 318-442-1515, or certainly email Davey, Davey, at hdjoneslaw.com. We do have Instagram and TikTok, but we've got a young, much smarter person handling those things than me. It's probably something like Jones Law Partners at whatever it needs to be.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for today. Really enjoyed having you on.
Yeah, thank you.